Look at that shirt. It just goes so hard. This is my hardest shirt ever, bro. I don't actually, if Paris Geller were in Mystic Falls, she would be running shit. She'd be the scariest person ever because Paris Geller is still fucking wife material. Love her to death. The Vampire Diaries, season 4. Ooh, difficult to parse. I would not say it's a terrible season or anything. I think it walks a pretty tight rope between being awful and being sort of good. I There's a great deal that I still liked about it. This season got very absurd very quickly. Bought into its lore so much, bought into its own mythology so much that it became kind of hard for me to continue reading it with the kind of postmodern um, lens that I've been using for this show so far. It sacrificed a lot of its metaphor and symbolism for yeah, lore and mythology. Like it bought into itself wholesale this season, which is kind of sad. But Julie Plec, the showrunner from here on out, is still pretty capable, a pretty capable showrunner, and she did quite a few things this season that I found pretty damn intriguing and fruitful to interact with. Yeah, from what I can tell, Kevin Williamson left the show at some point around season 3 or after season 3. From what I've been able to garner, he's not here anymore. And I think you can feel his absence. Like not entirely. You can't entirely feel that he's gone because Julie Plec is still extremely smart and, like I said, extremely capable. Best part of this season, though, is still the best part of season 3. The best part of season 3 was Nick Klaus, and the best part of season 4 is still Klaus. Joseph Morgan, this is one of the finest performances I've ever seen in a teen show. He is outstanding. I love him so much. He is such a hypersensitive vampire who pays so much close attention to thematics, to melodrama, that he gets worked up so easily, and he's always on the point of not just tears, but ultra violent temper tantrums. Um, huge. Uh, Huge theatrical displays of his villainy. Like the season can be pretty eye roll inducing until you get to an episode that focuses on Klaus in a large way. Like it's really eye roll inducing, and I don't give a shit about this guy Silas. I hate this new Professor Atticus Shane. I mean, I hate that professor to death. The most like what's the opposite of captivating? Because that's what that character was. It could be so eye roll inducing with Jeremy being this badass hunter, as if I would ever believe Jeremy was an intimidating force, with fucking with Bonnie with her heroism to a point where it was almost difficult to still relate to Bonnie after a while. And Elena, they just character assassination with Elena 101, but I say that it's all eye roll inducing and it's all very difficult to interact with. And then you get an episode with Klaus where he is just drowning fucking Tyler's mother in a fountain. He is slaughtering 12 of his hybrids, being led off to death. Like, he is just so He's so good. He's such a good character. He is such a good character. He's one of my favorite. He might actually be my favorite vampire. He is so interesting, and he still carries over that huge weight of symbolism that I attached to him in season 3 as being an original archetype of the villainous vampire, or just an original archetype of the villain. that is still carried over into season 4. And we get to do a lot of almost adorable things with Klaus. I love Klaus's crush that he has on Caroline, and I love how that's explored this season. What I wish is that it was explored in its entirety. I wish the show took the plunge. I wish that Klaus and Caroline actually hooked up. Um, because we were getting to some really interesting things. Whenever Caroline and Klaus would have a scene together, we'd really get to kind of penetrate the true lonely sensitivity that's at the core of Klaus's villainy. And I wish we got to see a little bit more of that. The most tragic part about season 4 is that the best thing about it is Klaus, and within this season, there's a backdoor pilot episode to the originals, to a spin-off that I didn't know existed, right? I knew there were spin-offs to the Vampire Diaries, but I didn't know that the primary spin-off was a show all about Klaus, and I feel so irritated because I'm not gonna get as much Klaus anymore on the Vampire Diaries because he's gone off to New Orleans with Elijah and shit to start his own show, The Originals. I'm not gonna get too much Klaus anymore, which sucks because he was the most interesting and complicated and sophisticated element of the show up to this point. I love Klaus to death, and now I feel like I'm staring down the barrel of a gun, like fuck, 5 seasons, almost 100 episodes of a different show called The Originals. But Klaus is good enough and Joseph Morgan is fucking captivating enough that I might actually do it. Like, no rush on it. Absolutely no rush on me starting The Originals, but had any other character got their own spinoff, I wouldn't even be slightly interested. But since Klaus is the star of his own show, oh my God, that's my kryptonite. I need to see more Klaus and engage with Klaus again. And I'm really upset that he's out of the Vampire Diaries, like proper. He's out of the show, the main show, because he would challenge each character uniquely in interesting ways that that confronted each character into doing fascinating things and completing arcs that they otherwise would never even attempted, like emotional arcs they would never even have attempted without Klaus's antagonism, without Klaus's interference. So now that he's gone, I don't know what's going to fill that void. I did notice that as Klaus was kind of being moved to New Orleans, moved to the spin-off show, The Originals, Catherine Pierce like reappeared again in a larger way. So maybe Catherine Pierce is going to kind of try to take on that role, but she can't really occupy it the way Klaus did. So really, I'm just upset that Klaus is gone. Yeah, he's the best part of season 4, the best part of season 3, and at this point, he is the most compelling and complicated and postmodern thing about the Vampire Diaries. Like I said in the last video, he is a labyrinth unto himself. I love trying to explore Klaus, and I guess I'm not going to get to do that anymore. Why why take Klaus away, man? Whatever. Fine. Fine. I still have Bonnie, or do I have Bonnie? Because the season ended with her being dead. That's the problem, right? Okay, Klaus is still great. Damon is still excellent. But all of the other characters, it was almost like, was the show trying to assassinate the the integrity of the heroes within it? Was that what the show was trying to accomplish? Because it nearly succeeded, you know. But with Bonnie, they would have Bonnie and Elena and even Jeremy do things that like, I've spent a lot of time with these characters, just acting completely out of sorts, and they could easily, like, wash it away and be like, "Oh, Bonnie was brainwashed," or, Elena was a sociopath, and Jeremy was controlled by some sort of supernatural attachment to being a hunter, or a transformation into being a vampire hunter. And like they can explain away all of these things that they do that are entirely out of their character, that completely compromise the integrity of their characters. And I don't buy that. Bonnie is the true hero of the Vampire Diaries, and she continues to be even through season 4. Like, there's no fucking way Bonnie would be like brainwashed and so easily swayed by like Professor Atticus Shane or whatever. Like no fucking way. Maybe you should have hired a better actor to play Professor Atticus Shane, like someone who was actually charismatic. Maybe I'd believe it, but there's no possible way. And then Silas and then all this stuff, and I know Bonnie's moral compass. In fact, Bonnie's moral compass is the only truly defined moral compass on the entire show. Like we know Bonnie's moral compass. She would never she would never even like flirt with these sort of apocalyptic ideas that she does in season 4. She's still the hero of it because she manages to be selfless, to be self-sacrificing, and to be deeply introspective by the end of her arc. But the journey getting there is deeply frustrating with Bonnie. Phenomenal performance from Kat Graham, as per usual, but I really didn't like where we went with Bonnie's character here because I started to feel like she wasn't only powerless, but she was almost deliberately being assassinated by the writers' room, like her integrity was. Not nearly as bad as Elena. Elena turning into a vampire was infuriating would be an understatement. Elena turned into the most annoying, self-obsessed, and narcissistic character that I've ever had to engage with so much because she is the lead of the show. And the lead of your show in season 4 is vapid, is literally heartless, like she's the worst. The most interesting thing with Elena is the ways that she interacted with Damon. This is the season where she confesses her love for Damon and completely falls for Damon. But the way it starts out is Elena was sired to Damon. So in season 1, the show really tried to explore kind of BDSM relationships, relationships of command, and explored those kinks in interestingly postmodern ways. And I think that in the beginning of season 4, when Elena basically does every single thing that her master, her daddy Damon says with a smile, that's interesting. That is really fascinating to engage with, and especially for me and for my age group, I would think. I don't know. It's Stefan, I empathize, man. It's tough out there on those streets. Those streets are really hard. And people in my age group, like late 20s to mid 30s, they're really into sub-dom kind of relationships, which I'm not interested in. I don't think that relationships should have more controlling manipulations applied to them, but categorized as kinks. I don't like it personally. I don't care if you do. I don't give a fuck if you do. But what's fascinating is that the show is engaging with this and really just diving very deeply into more controlling, more BDSM, more kinky, more erotically subversive relationships. I think that is awesome. I think that's great. I think that's a great thing to do. Mostly because it challenges Damon in a huge way because he's been this fucking like daddy dumb wet dream for young girls everywhere for the first 3.5 seasons. And now that he has truly fallen in love with Elena, he doesn't want that kind of sub dom relationship. He doesn't want that. He wants her to be autonomous. He wants her to be um, strong. He wants her to challenge him. He wants her to be free, honestly. He wants the same thing that Stefan wants in a large way. And the sireship is broken. In the last episode, she's like, I fucking love you. They kiss. It's great. And Stefan had the worst season ever. I think he was well written. But I mean, as a character, like dude gets his heart broken, chick sleeps with ex sleeps with his brother, has mad crazy vampire sex with his brother. Um, ends with him being like buried alive, thrown into like a quarry. I don't know how to make sense of the fact that Silas his true identity is a doppelganger for Stefan. I have no gonna have to watch more of season five to wholeheartedly interact with that because that makes no sense within the postmodern reading that I'm using. It makes absolutely no sense. In fact, it compromises like so much of the philosophical weight and integrity that the first three seasons spent so much careful time cultivating, and I'll be very upset if from here on out the Vampire Diaries compromises everything that once made it so powerful. But that's what it seems to be doing. And Jeremy's the other character that it tried to fuck with in very large ways. He becomes like a supernatural vampire hunter being, and I can't buy Jeremy as a badass. I mean, the kid is fucking ripped. Like the kid fucking made some gains, bulked up, but he's still a fucking I still think he's a fucking pussy, man. Like I don't care about Jeremy. And they keep teasing me. They keep being like Jeremy's dead. Oh, Jeremy's alive. Jeremy's dead. No, Jeremy's alive. And we end with Jeremy being alive. And I'm like, why do you think I care? Why do you think I care so much about Jeremy? I can't. I can't fathom the idea, even the faint possibility that Jeremy was a beloved character when this was on. No fucking way. Why do you think I care if he's dead? He has like died in almost every season. Can he just be fucking dead? Can we get rid of Jeremy? Please, I hate Jeremy. There's nothing good with Jeremy. He's just so annoying. Why does the show and Julie Plec and everything about this show think that I care at all about Jeremy's safety? I want him to be dead. I want him to be gone. I was really happy when I thought he was gone. That's the thing because like I said Bonnie's dead, but no one's ever actually dead. But through that we get to do some really interesting things that are actually postmodern, just like in season three with the Ghost World episode and stuff, with Vicky and Anna coming back to complete their arcs because they had unfinished business, but in a postmodern sense, unfinished character arcs. Well, Bonnie lifts a veil here for some stupid, convoluted reason for Silas, who also Silas is possibly the dumbest villain that I've ever encountered on a television show. Reminds me a bit of um the first evil from the final season of Buffy. It doesn't work because I don't have a consistent face to humanize and associate with the big bad. I don't care that it keeps changing and stuff. But Buffy and Joss Whedon didn't try to pull that lazy shit with its villain until the final season, until they were officially out of ideas. We're only halfway through the Vampire Diaries, and I already feel like they're recycling ideas, which is not a good sign. Recycling ideas, but not recycling the concepts that should go with them. Because the first three season analysis videos that I made, like we're talking about very sophisticated, very complex, like postmodern things. And now that Kevin Williamson is gone, now that Klaus is gone from the show, I'm not sure if we're going to be talking about those kinds of things anymore. I'm really not sure if we'll be able to talk about those things, this show in that way, which I'm okay with. I just can't help but be sad about it. But ghosts do come back in the final couple episodes of this season. Because Bonnie lifted the veil between our world and the next one, and people like Cole come back. All the dead hunters come back. Alaric comes back, and that's sensitive and fun. Alaric and Lexi come back and help their friends, Stefan and Damon. It's pretty tender. I like that. But these ghosts come back and Cole's like really mad and they all kind of infiltrate the graduation, which I love a good graduation on a teen show. And this is a very good graduation on a teen show. They're all infiltrating it and it gets interesting when Cole's kind of like monologuing to camera to his supernatural accomplices or to Bonnie, kind of menacing her. He's like, we're all back and we're all really mad and all of us have 1,000 different reasons to want to lash out on all of you and you get like you get a fun postmodern parlor trick here where it's not the same language being used as it was used in season three. In season three, it was tender and sensitive about unfinished arcs. These characters here are these ghosts, the Walking Dead, they are just mad and they just want to make noise. That's all they want to do. They just want to be chaotic. They just want to enact exact revenge. And it's cool to extrapolate from that. Um, all of the different archetypal designs that had to be sacrificed upon your narrative altar so that you could complete an arc. And that works. I think that works best when we're talking about the frameworks of narrative, all the different characters that had to die in order for the core cast members to graduate from high school and go through that rite of passage. Every teen show has a list of casualties, either literal or metaphorical, a list of casualties of people who had to fall by the wayside in order for characters to make it to graduation, which is normally a huge accomplishment for teen drama characters. And here we're seeing their graduation kind of being held hostage by the casualties of the narrative itself, and that's really interesting and fun. It gets wild when Klaus shows up and fucking decapitates a witch with a cap, with a graduation cap, and it's like, I'm here all day. It's like, what? I love that. That was great. And then he has a really sensitive moment with Caroline. Like, even when Klaus is gone, the best parts of the show is still Klaus showing up, either as an illusion or as the real, genuine article. Like, the best thing about this show was Klaus. Best thing about this season was Klaus. And now Klaus has his own spinoff. I guess I understand why he has his own spinoff, but I feel like the mainline Vampire Diaries show is going to suffer because of it. But he got his own spinoff because he's so compelling and so captivating. Great character. But fuck, man, I wish it didn't have to go down like this. I wish I had Klaus still. And I mean, I'm sure I'll see him periodically, but I wish I had him in every episode. I was kind of spoiled by seasons 3 and 4. Looking back on it, I didn't know that my Klaus time was that limited, but I guess it was. I think if any character is the heart of the show this season, it's Damon. And I like Alaric coming back and saying, "Get the girl," step outside of your archetypal limitations and get the girl. And you get the girl by not limiting the girl to archetypal definitions of a vampire. She break the sireship, um, help her feel in totality, the totality of all emotions, and she will love you. And she does. I think Damon is the heart of this show this season, and Ian Somerhalder is still an extremely compelling actor, and Damon is still a lovely character. I really love his character, um, always. Stefan's great as well, but Damon's the heart of the show at this point, because they sacrificed Elena. Like, I hate Elena now. She's just self-obsessed and narcissistic. Even when she flips back on her humanity switch, I still see her as just self-obsessed and narcissistic. And I mostly agree with everything that Catherine says to Elena about like your entire existence, your entire narrative existence has been determined by how many people are fawning over you. Like you are nothing. You are truly nothing unless you are the center of the entire world. And I think that's how I think Elena is just selfish, honestly. Everything has to be about her. And now it's to the detriment of other characters. I feel that other characters were held back by Elena's narcissism and self-obsession this season. People like Bonnie, people like Caroline, and people like even Damon were held back by just how self-obsessed Elena had become as a character. Did she get more interesting after being a vampire? Actually, no. She got less interesting, less difficult um, to interact with and explore. She was an open book, and I hated reading it. I don't like Elena. I've come to the conclusion to the realization that Elena is just a terrible character, and I don't like her as the lead. I really don't. Once again, this is saying nothing against Nina Dobrev. I think she's great, phenomenal, beautiful, and I love Catherine. This is all about Elena Gilbert and the way she's written here. I don't like her. I just don't. I love Damon and Elena together, but I'm starting to think that it's not Damon who's bad for Elena. It's Elena who's bad for everyone else. not just Damon. Elena is bad for everyone that she cares about because it's hard to believe she even cares about anything. I think she cares about the fact that people care about her. She doesn't actually care. I don't know. Not a big fan of Elena. Kind of like Rebecca and Matt. Kind of think they're cute. That's about it. I like Rebecca. Rebecca is still bratty and fun and sexy. She's cool. I suppose I just hope that this show aspires to be more than it's become at this point. Because while season 4 wasn't a terrible season, I think it fell off really hard. I think that seasons 2 and 3 were like Everest peaks, was an Everest level kind of mastery, like really, really good. And even though season 4 is not terrible, uh, the kind of the whiplash of the quality of the downgrade in quality makes it feel worse than it actually is. And Vampire Diaries is a show that's struggling at this point. It's struggling. I have faith in Julie Plec. I have faith in the writers, and certainly have faith in the actors. This is a wonderful ensemble. Season 5 could be good. It could definitely be good, but it's gonna have to regroup. It's gonna have to redesign. And every show does redesign at this point anyway, because they're finished with high school. We're gonna have to do a pretty large recontextualization, a pretty large redesign, repurposing of its primary characters, of its themes, and of the context. Every show has to do this when the high school period is over, because we're entering a new age. That gives season 5 the opportunity to be careful, deliberate, introspective, sensitive, and postmodern again, because we sacrificed a lot of the postmodern strengths of the show for mythology that I don't care about in season 4. I want to play around with symbolism again. I want to play around with the actual frameworks of narrative, and archetypes. I want to do that again. So hopefully, season 5 is a better season in every way. But once again, season 4 not bad, and I clearly did have things to talk about. I just wish I talked about things that I thought were more interesting. Because season 3, masterpiece. Season 2, masterpiece as well. And season 1 was a very interesting series of episodes. Season 4, no, not as much. Not nearly as much, but I'll be back to talk about season 5. Thank you so much for watching my video.